Yeah, she'll come back, yeah. Yeah. Sorry if this place is... Okay, great. She made it. I guess she's just in the bathroom at this point. Sad about my brother. Is it being much?
Good afternoon. The Jewish concept of Am Echad B'Lev Echad, one people with one heart, is a powerful and enduring idea rooted in our tradition. It speaks to unity, shared purpose, and the deep connections we strive to build as a community. It is also a value that Rabbi Cohen embraces and consistently brings to life in his teachings, in his writings, and the way he leads. Whether from the bima, in a heartfelt email, or in a quiet moment of conversation, Rabbi Cohen returns again and again to this core principle, not just in words, but through action, compassion, and presence. It is that same spirit of connection and shared heart that brings us together tonight. And for those of you who may not know me, my name is Marla Parnes, and I have the honor of serving as the president of Temple Beth Shalom. Like so many of you, I have been deeply inspired by Rabbi Cohen, by his friendship, his ideas, his compassion, and his seemingly boundless energy. I have been moved by his rachamim, his empathy and care for others, his profound love for our tradition, and his neshama, the deep spirit he brings to everything he does. When Rabbi Cohen first joined our community in 2017, it was clear right away that he was someone truly special. He quickly made a lasting impression on Temple Beth Shalom, endearing himself to our youngest families in the preschool community, while also bringing a vibrancy and warmth that allowed him to connect across generations. We have watched him grow professionally, developing his voice, his leadership, and his vision, and we have also had the joy of watching him and Ariel's beautiful family grow as well, first with Amalia and then with Sivan. His journey has become interwoven with ours, shaping the life of this congregation just as we hopefully have helped shape his. We have shared in his growth, and he has guided and uplifted us in turn. And so it is truly wonderful to be here together this evening to celebrate such a meaningful and momentous time for Rabbi Cohen, for his family, and for our entire Temple Beth Shalom community. There is no doubt that the role of a congregational rabbi is as demanding as it is deeply rewarding. The rhythm of a rabbi's day is astonishingly varied, and no 2 days are ever the same. One day for Rabbi Cohen might begin with a visit to a preschool classroom to tell a story, followed by a clergy meeting, a hospital visit, and lunch with a congregant. From there, he might carve out time to write an article, return emails, and make outreach calls before sitting down with the family to prepare for a bar mitzvah. Then it's off to teach confirmation class, lead evening minyan, and end the day teaching an adult education class. It is a life that is full, sometimes frenetic, never dull, and lived in service of others. Rabbi Cohen meets this calling with grace, humility, and heart. My one encouragement to you, Rabbi, is this: embrace your humanity. You don't need to be superhuman to make a lasting impact. You have the wisdom, warmth, and spiritual strength to make a profound impact on the lives of those around you, and you do. And in turn, this community cherishes you not just for all you give, but for who you are. They will understand and support your need for rest and renewal so that you can continue to meet life's sacred moments with the same energy and compassion that define your leadership. While Rabbi Cohen has already spent 8 remarkable years with us, everything seems to have led to this exact moment for his formal installation. He has become not only our rabbi, but a true partner in vision and spirit. This milestone honors the depth of the relationships he has built, the strength of his leadership, and the future we are creating together. As we install Rabbi Cohen today, we not only celebrate his leadership and affirm our continued commitment to one another, we also lift up the deep roots of our congregation, our history, our values, and the people who have built and sustained this sacred community. Jewish tradition teaches us to hold memory and vision together, to remember where we came from, even as we work to shape where we are going. Our holidays, our rituals, and our stories are filled with reminders of the past, but they also call on us to imagine and build a better future. Today is a reflection of that balance. We honor all of those whose dedication and love have brought us to this moment, and we celebrate the opportunity to grow, evolve, and dream under Rabbi Cohen's guidance. Today also brings together people from across Rabbi Cohen's own journey, beloved teachers and mentors, cherished colleagues and friends, members of Livingston Town Council, Jewish Federation of Metro West, the Interfaith Community leaders, and of course, the members of our Temple Beth Shalom family who have been uplifted and inspired by his creativity and care. We are especially grateful to have Rabbi Cohen's loving family here with us, those who surround him with the strength and devotion, and who are rightfully proud of all he has become and all he so generously gives. As we celebrate Rabbi Cohen this evening, we also are celebrating the shared values that guide our congregation: tradition and innovation, compassion and strength, rootedness and vision. Rabbi Cohen helps us hold these values in balance, honoring where we have come from while leading us with insight and purpose into the future. As we look around this sanctuary, we see not only a celebration of one leader, but a celebration of community, of shared values, shared purpose, and shared hopes. Jewish tradition calls on us to remember, to zachor, but also to dream and to act. We carry with us the wisdom of our past, even as we open our hearts to what the future might hold. With Rabbi Cohen as our partner, teacher, and spiritual guide, we are poised to do both, to honor our history and to shape what comes next, together as Am Echad B'Lev Echad, one people with one heart. And now it is my great privilege to introduce our keynote speaker for this evening, Chancellor Shuli Rubin Schwartz. Chancellor Schwartz is the Chancellor of the Jewish Theological Seminary, where she has been a distinguished scholar, educator, and visionary leader. She is the first woman to lead JTS in its 135-year history, a milestone of historic and lasting significance. She was also recently inducted into the Jewish Hall of Fame, a recognition that speaks to the impact of her life's work and her unwavering commitment to Jewish learning and leadership. Throughout her remarkable career, Chancellor Schwartz has helped shape the intellectual and spiritual life of conservative Judaism, and she has mentored generations of Jewish leaders, including our own Rabbi Cohen. She's not only a dear friend and trusted mentor to him, but she's known him since high school and has had the unique joy of watching him grow and mature into the leader we celebrate tonight. Her scholarship, her leadership, and her enduring dedication to Jewish community and learning have made a profound and lasting impact on the Jewish world, and we are truly honored by her presence here this evening. Please join me in welcoming Chancellor Shuli Rubin Schwartz.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you on this very special occasion. And tonight, as you install Rabbi Simeon Cohen as your senior rabbi, you are not only embracing a gifted leader, but you are reaffirming Temple Beth Shalom's commitment to ensuring a thriving synagogue community, as you heard from your president, rooted in tradition, innovation, and resilience, and poised for an even brighter future. As you've heard, I have known Rabbi Cohen for a long time, primarily during his college years, but even before as a high school student. I think we first met at the Jewish Community Center of Paramus, where my son was serving as a student rabbi during his rabbinical school years. And Simeon's love for and commitment to Judaism were evident even then. Then, as dean of Lisk College, where both Simeon and Ariel were students, I watched them both grow and blossom intellectually and grow as community leaders. College deans rarely get to see their prize students mature into trusted colleagues, but I had that privilege. As graduate students who served as resident advisors for the undergraduates, they mentored a whole new generation of Lisk College students with wisdom, creativity, and empathy. This is a unique moment for this congregation, but it also reflects a broader revitalization of conservative Masorti Judaism across North America and beyond. Rabbi Cohen is one of many talented young rabbis working with engaged laity to fuel this revival. So you might ask, how do we reconcile this renewal, this full sanctuary this evening, with the constant refrain about the conservative movement's inevitable decline? Perhaps Mark Twain put it best when he responded to a premature obituary with the memorable quip, "Reports of my death are greatly exaggerated." To understand the vitality beneath the narrative, the surface narrative of decline, I'd like to take a few moments to revisit the conservative movement's 20th century successes and try to identify a through line from that period to our own. Conservative Judaism came into its own when Solomon Schechter became president of the Jewish Theological Seminary and assembled a world-class faculty to educate and train English-speaking rabbis for American Jewry. Conservative Judaism emerged from JTS's integrated approach to learning and living that engaged head, heart, and hands. Schechter emphasized the central role of the Jewish people themselves in shaping Judaism, a process he called Catholic Israel. Conservative Judaism is rooted in tradition, but embedded in modernity, allowing Jews to live integrated lives, fully American, fully Jewish. This approach resonated deeply with the children of Eastern European immigrants who wanted to feel at home in America as Jews. After World War II, when thousands of Jews moved from dense urban neighborhoods to suburban communities like Livingston, where they were now a small minority of the population, they were hungry for social connection and meaningful, joyous Judaism. Post-war rabbis were what we would call religious entrepreneurs who were running startups, though they wouldn't have used any of those words. They were inspired in part by the vision of Mordechai Kaplan, one of their teachers at the Jewish Theological Seminary. He saw Judaism expansively as a civilization that encompassed language, literature, art, food, music, attachment to Israel. A civilization that was solidly rooted in and nourished by religious faith and practice. This vision resonated with so many Jews who wanted to be in community with other Jews to celebrate the holidays, practice in ways that felt welcoming, family-oriented, and reflective of their American surroundings. They wanted mixed seating. They wanted English-speaking rabbis who were both modern and steeped in tradition, and institutions that embraced both Zionism and the Hebrew language. This was the essence of post-war conservative Judaism. And JTS ordained rabbis rose to that challenge, engaging in outreach and creative experimentation to best meet those needs. It was during this period that Temple Beth Shalom was founded in 1951, with about 60 families, and I gather was first called the Livingston Jewish Center, which makes sense. 2 years later, you hired your first rabbi, the first Rabbi S. Cohen, Rabbi Samuel Cohen, who, as it turns out, was a classmate of my father's, both ordained in 1953. My father went to Long Island, Rabbi Cohen came here. Within 15 years, you had built a full-service synagogue with religious services, sisterhood, men's club, youth groups, Jewish education for all ages, social action activities, and more. your synagogue, and so many others like it that flourished across New Jersey, Long Island, and beyond, offer Jews a social network, religious home, a sense of purpose and meaning, a connection to the Jewish people as a whole, and a measure of healing after the Holocaust. This was also the era when JTS founded Camp Ramah, filling similar needs by providing immersive, joyful Jewish experiences to children in the summer months, and in doing so, fostered generations of engaged, confident Jews. And I'm sure there are many of you among them in this room. To further meet this moment, conservative rabbis, cantors, and educators introduced certain innovations, such as editing a new Siddur, of which we have now had many generations of that Siddur, which at the time was innovative in offering a traditional liturgy paired with inspiring English translation and readings, something that is so obvious to us, we don't even think about it. They also, in 1950, issued a tshuva, a responsa, permitting driving to the synagogue on Shabbat if walking wasn't feasible. Rather than ignore the realities of suburban life, conservative movement leaders decided to address them head-on, balancing tradition with responsiveness to suburban reality. They galvanized support. They, along with the various arms of the synagogue, galvanized support for the State of Israel, selling Israeli products in the synagogue gift shop, passing out the blue stucco boxes to raise money for Israel. They also promoted interfaith dialogue, and rabbis played an instrumental role in suburban life in this post-war period, since, as I remember well from my own father, Protestants and Catholics wouldn't sit in the same room with each other. But when there was also a rabbi, then they formed an interfaith council. You may still have the interfaith Thanksgiving service that comes along with that. That became popularized in that era. And it created goodwill and fostered deeper understanding among the various religious groups. Inspired by Abraham Joshua Heschel, another one of the professors at JTS, many conservative rabbis also stirred the moral conscience of their congregations, challenging them to work towards a more just society by marching for civil rights, advocating for justice. Over the decades, this impulse evolved to embrace egalitarianism, women's ordination, and later the inclusion of LGBTQ, Jews, and people with disabilities. When I became chancellor in 2020, at the height of the pandemic, I sensed that American Jewry was entering a similar period of ferment, experimentation, and opportunity, fueled by the tremendous challenges of the era. First, the pandemic upended our lives in numerous ways and left us feeling unmoored. We had also entered the digital age, and while we had grown to appreciate the many ways that the internet, social media, 24 access to almost anything, enriched our lives immeasurably, we also started to understand some of the challenges that all of this new technology posed to individuals, to communities, and to society at large. Then, of course, the horrific attack of October 7th and its traumatic aftermath coupled with the rising anti-Semitism, which, as we know, preceded these attacks, but became more vicious and took the form more frequently of anti-Zionism, this posed new existential challenges for the Jewish people, who, as I'm sure many of you said to yourself, who never thought that they would witness this in their lifetime in this country. Jews felt newly vulnerable, and all of this ignited a new hunger for connection, for meaning, for purpose. And again, this required nimble, creative, adaptive leadership. It started during COVID. Clergy worked tirelessly with their lay leadership to figure out new ways to pray, to teach, to celebrate life cycle events, to support those who were ill and lonely. At JTS, we pivoted to telechaplaincy when chaplains weren't allowed to enter hospitals. And we greatly ramped up our online learning. Our public learning programs became an intellectual anchor for hundreds of people during this time of uncertainty. Since October 7th, we've worked to rebuild strained alliances and ensure that Jews, especially young Jews, are better educated about their heritage, about Israel, about identity. At JTS, we've hosted national convenings to model respectful, informed dialogue on hard but vital topics. These efforts are helping us build stronger, more confident, and more connected Jewish communities. You too have experienced a surge of interest in community building, in learning, in ritual, among Jews eager for what conservative Judaism has to offer. And you are incredibly fortunate to have an outstanding leader who can meet Jews where they are, who can speak across difference and inspire with intellect, compassion, and authenticity to guide this resurgence. I can't wait to see how Temple Beth Shalom and Rabbi Cohen together elevate Torah, worship, and acts of loving kindness to new heights in the years ahead. And I am delighted to join you in honoring him as you formally and officially usher in this next chapter together.
אשים לעולם. אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. אהוב אליך לברך את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה ישלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, אשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, אשים לעולם. אשים לעולם. אשים
You may be seated for just a moment. Some of you know that my brother is also a rabbi, and he was supposed to install me this afternoon, but he had a tragedy in his family. His wife's father passed away yesterday, so he's not here. But my sister is going to offer some words in his place.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sophia, and I am lucky enough to call Rabbi Cohen my oldest brother. I am honored to be speaking to you today at this wonderful event and proud to be doing so on behalf of not just myself, but also on behalf of the other Rabbi Cohen in our family, our brother Gabe. Simeon and I are 9 years apart, so while other kids in my class were talking about the newest Disney movie, I was much more well-versed on the likes of Homer Simpson, Han Solo, and Jerry Garcia. And I wouldn't have had it any other way. No offense to Gabe, but Simeon was always the cooler brother growing up. He'd spend his days studying to become a distinguished student in his high school, leading USY programs, and encouraging countless teens to become involved with their Judaism, and walking around the house strumming his guitar. On weekends, he would camp out at music festivals or find ways to get front row seats for a show at Madison Square Garden or the Beacon Theater. Not too much has changed, but it's probably been a few years since he's broken out the tent. Through the Nativ Israel program and his time at JTS Columbia, Simeon grew to be the cool and wise older brother. He became even more fascinated by the study of history, literature, and his favorite philosophy. His love of learning was and is infectious, and lifelong learning is a quality I know he will always maintain. Our family has always been extremely tight-knit, something that was instilled in us by our Grandma Sidel and our Papa Bernie and Nana Fran, all of whom would be kvelling over today's event. So when Simeon's rabbinic search landed him back here in his home state of New Jersey, the Cohen clan could not have been more thrilled. Sim, watching you grow and lead this congregation has been such a joy to behold. You have always been so passionate about music and movies and books, and it's clear that you bring that same passion to your work here at Temple Beth Shalom every single day. Each sermon you give leaves us all with new ideas to think about and inspires us to live the most righteous lives possible. You have been a comfort through your congregants' darkest times and a champion of their greatest simchas. It is so rare to find someone who is doing exactly what they are meant to be doing in life, and it is clear that you have found your calling and your home here at TBS. Here together, you and Ariel have built a beautiful and inspiring partnership, and you have blessed us all with two of the cutest little girls who make all of our lives brighter. Sim, you approach each day with empathy and wisdom. You are approachable to discuss the biggest topics of life with, and always know when to infuse humor into a situation, qualities that will serve you well for the rest of your life. As you continue here at TBS, I hope you continue to learn and grow and be impacted every day, just as you impact us all. May you continue to find meaning and strength from this loving community that has embraced us all so warmly. This past September, Simeon and Gabe co-officiated my wedding to my husband Matthew, and being married by my brothers is one of my most treasured memories. It's an honor to repay the favor in a small way today. While I myself am not a rabbi, the only one in the family, my knowledge of Jewish quotes is not as extensive as my brother's, but I will end on a quote from Simeon's rabbis, Harav Bob Dylan, inspired by Birkat HaKohanim, the priestly blessing. May God bless and keep you always. May your wishes all come true. May you always do for others and let others do for you. May you build a ladder to the stars and climb on every rung, and may you stay forever young. Mazel tov.
I only asked her to do that last night. That was amazing. And since my brother is not here, I'm very, very honored to have my dear mentor from rabbinical school, Rabbi Jerry Skolnick, who I interned with for 2 years, here to fill in and to offer some words of bracha as well. So I'm going to ask everyone now to please rise.
Moshe kibel Torah miSinai u'masara liYehoshua, v'Yehoshua lizkenim u'zkenim la'neviim, u'neviim misaruhu la'anshei Knesset hagdola. Hem amru shlosha dvarim, hevu mitunim badin, v'ha'amidu talmidim harbe, v'asu siyag laTorah. Moses received Torah at Sinai, transmitted it to Joshua, Joshua to the elders to the prophets, and the prophets to the men of the great assembly. They said 3 things: be patient in the administration of justice, raise many disciples, and make a fence around the Torah.
Rabbi Simeon Cohen, as you take hold of this Torah, you are continuing a chain of tradition which began with Moses at Sinai. Our God and God of our ancestors, bestow your blessings upon Rabbi Simeon Cohen and this Kehillah Kadosha, this sacred congregation. Instill in Rabbi Cohen wisdom and righteousness, steadfastness and devotion, as he assumes the position of Rabbi of Temple Beth Shalom. Grant Rabbi Cohen a wise heart, integrity, strength, and courage. May he respond to every challenge with dignity, patience, and loving kindness. Instill within him a full measure of love and compassion so that he may embody the essence of our tradition and inspire others to do the same. In the words of our great sage Hillel in his rabbinate, may Rabbi Cohen be like a disciple of Aharon, Ohev Shalom v'Rodef Shalom, Ohev et Habriot v'Karban LaTorah. May he love peace and pursue peace, love his congregation, and draw them closer to Torah. And let us all say, Amen.
Amen.
You may be seated. So I got a new suit for my installation. I went to Suit Supply at the Short Hills Mall, and I was browsing the racks and I was wearing my kippah when one of the attendants noticed that I was eyeing a particular suit. And he rushed over and he said, Sir, you don't want that suit. And I said, why not? And he said, Shatnez, that suit is a mixture of wool and linen. And when he said that, my kippah almost fell off my head. The attendant did not look Jewish, and in fact, he wasn't Jewish. How do you know about the prohibition against mixing wool and linen, I asked him. And he looked at me incredulous, and he said, Sir, please, I sell suits in Essex County, New Jersey. You think I don't know about Shatnez? Needless to say, I did not buy that suit. As I told the salesman, it wouldn't have been a good look for me to wear a suit made of mixed wool and linen to my rabbinic installation. And I've thought a great deal about that interaction over the past couple of weeks, and that moment has really stayed with me, not only because of how unique and frankly how strange it was, but because it reminded me how rare and how special it is to live in a place like this. That moment was a bracha. It was a blessing that was made even more poignant by the painful realities we're facing today. As we all know, this is not an easy moment for the Jewish people. 2 weeks ago, we experienced the shocking tragedy in Washington, and last week, we witnessed the terrible attack on the Jews of Boulder, Colorado. And yet, as difficult as things might be for the Jewish people at this moment, I feel incredibly blessed to be a rabbi not only here at Temple Beth Shalom, but in New Jersey, in our greater Metro West community where I can freely and openly wear my kippah in the Short Hills Mall and where non-Jewish sales attendants can advise me not to buy a suit made of wool and linen. Not every rabbi is lucky enough to live and work in a community like this one. I'm well aware of that fact, and I do not take it for granted. But how did I get to this point of being a rabbi in Essex County, New Jersey? Well, I think the genesis of this moment can be traced all the way back to when I was in 8th grade. I was selected to deliver the Dvar Torah, the closing speech at my 8th grade graduation ceremony at the Solomon Schechter Day School of Bergen County. And after the ceremony, one of the rabbis who was on the faculty at the school approached me and said, Simeon, have you ever considered becoming a rabbi? And the truth is, at that point, I had not considered becoming a rabbi, but the seed had been planted. A few years later, I went on a USY summer program, and the leader of my group that summer was a rabbinical student at JTS, the Jewish Theological Seminary. And on the last Shabbat of the program, it was a European trip, and we were in Rome. I remember it very well. Once again, I was asked to deliver the closing Dvar Torah. And my father picked me up from the airport after that trip, and on the drive home, I was telling him about the speech I gave, and he said to me, "Simeon, are you considering becoming a rabbi?" And I said, "Funny you should ask that. I'm not sure about becoming a rabbi, but I did just hear about this joint program between JTS and Columbia, and I think that's where I want to go to college." And indeed, that is where I went to college, and as you heard, that's where I met Chancellor Schwartz, who was then Dean Schwartz, and it's also where I met Ariel. Ariel and I were in a senior thesis seminar together at Lisk College, the undergraduate school at JTS, and there were only 4 of us in the seminar, 3 boys and Ariel, and as she likes to say, the other 2 boys were not particularly interesting. And I bring all of this up because when I thought about what I wanted to say tonight, believe it or not, I thought all the way back to my undergraduate senior thesis. I wrote my undergraduate thesis on Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel's 800-page tome on rabbinic theology called Torah Min HaShamayim Ba'asbaklaria Shel Hadorot, say that 3 times fast, or in English, Heavenly Torah as Refracted Through the Generations. And Torah Min HaShamayim is a book which centers around Heschel's characterization of 2 of the towering intellectual figures of the classical rabbinic age, Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Ishmael. Heschel frames Akiva as the paradigmatic Jewish mystic, arguably the very first mystical rabbi. Akiva was always gazing upwards towards the heavens, always contemplating the nature of the divine. As Heschel writes, he was a man whose heart and mind sang out to the living God. Rabbi Ishmael, on the other hand, was the classic rabbinic rationalist. He was much more concerned with earthly issues. What happens down here on earth, not what happens above in the heavens. As Heschel writes of Ishmael, he was defined by delicacy, intellectual reserve, and clear thinking. Ishmael sought the middle way. In a sense, Akiva was like the rabbinic Plato, and Ishmael the rabbinic Aristotle. And Heschel calls them Avot HaOlam, fathers of the world. And he says that every subsequent rabbi, whether they know it or not, has followed either in the footsteps of Rabbi Akiva or Rabbi Ishmael. And in my thesis, I argued that through writing about those 2 rabbis, in reality, Heschel was actually writing about himself. Heschel grew up in a Hasidic family in Poland, the mystical world of Rabbi Akiva, but he went on to pursue a doctorate in philosophy at the University of Berlin, the rational world of Rabbi Ishmael. And when I was all of 22 years old writing that thesis, I made the case that Heschel's book wasn't really about Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Ishmael. It was really about Heschel himself. Heschel was telling his own story, writing his own intellectual autobiography, because he was both Akiva and Ishmael, both mystical and rational, spiritual and scholarly, all at the same time. And now here I am, 15 years later, and in hindsight, it's very clear to me that I was not writing about Heschel at all. In fact, I too was writing about myself. Not that I'm comparing myself to Heschel by any means, but for as long as I can remember, I too have lived in that space between Akiva and Ishmael. Since I was a very young boy, and my parents can attest to this, I have always had my head in the clouds. Dreamy, ambitious, aspirational, and yes, admittedly, a little bit spacey. But I have also always had my feet planted firmly on the ground, rational, pragmatic, and for the most part, level-headed. A little bit Akiva, a little bit Ishmael, or to put it slightly differently, I live somewhere in the space between the psychedelic world of the Grateful Dead and the rootsy, grounded world of Bob Dylan. And that's the way I function as a rabbi. I'm a dreamer. I have always been a dreamer. And I have a dream and a vision to make Temple Beth Shalom one of the premier conservative synagogues, not only in New Jersey, but maybe in the country. And we have come such a long way in terms of achieving that goal together. Increased membership, trips all over the world, engaged members across the age spectrum, from our preschool families to our retirees. And as far as I'm concerned, we're just getting started. I have big dreams and visions for the future of this synagogue. Like Rabbi Akiva, I too am always looking upwards towards the heavens. And yet, Like Rabbi Ishmael, I am equally as concerned with earthly matters, with the day-to-day work of running a synagogue, making sure we have people to lead minyan twice a day, every day, meeting with each and every bar and bat mitzvah family, officiating at funerals, visiting people in the hospital, writing sermons, being a presence in our preschool and religious school, attending USY and men's club and sisterhood events, meeting with my colleagues on the Interfaith Clergy Association, and on and on and on. Every day, there is an endless amount of work to be done. And the truth is, I never feel like I get it all done. But as our tradition teaches, Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, velo ata ben chorin lehibatel mimena. It's not my responsibility to finish the work, but neither am I free to desist from it. And that's what it means for me to be a rabbi, to live in that space between Akiva and Ishmael, between seeking transcendence on the one hand and accomplishing the daily work of building community on the other hand. On days like today, my soul sings out like Rabbi Akiva, but on other days, I just want to make sure we have enough egg salad for Kiddush, like Rabbi Ishmael. And both parts of the job are equally significant, the celestial and the terrestrial, the heavenly and the earthly. For me, both are essential parts of what it means to be a rabbi. I would not be standing here on this bima today without the love and the support of so many people in this room. To my parents, Harlan and Lori Cohen, you started me on this journey. Had you not made the tremendous sacrifices that you made to send me to Jewish day school, to Jewish summer camp, to Nativ, the conservative movement's gap year program in Israel, and to List College, I certainly would not be here today. Your love and your support at every step of the way made it possible for me to have reached this point. Toda Rabba, I love you. And of course, the same goes for my in-laws, Michael and Beverly Fine. For the past 15 years, since Ariel and I wrote those senior theses together, you have been nothing but unfailingly supportive, loving, always there for me in every sense. I can't thank you enough. I love you both. To my siblings, Gabe and Deb, Sophia and Matt, and Josh and Michal, thank you for making me laugh, for propping me up, for always being there. And an extra special toda rabba to my brother, Rabbi Gabe, for always being around to talk things out whenever I'm struggling with an idea for a sermon and I need a little bit of extra inspiration. And as you heard, my brother's father-in-law, Dr. Hugh Pollack, passed away yesterday. My brother was supposed to install me today, but of course he couldn't be here. So to Gabe and Deb and Martha and David, we're sending you nothing but love and strength. And to my dear colleagues here at Temple Beth Shalom, my partners on the Bima, Cantors Fine and Noller, our executive director, Neil Weidberg, our education director, Leah Becker, our preschool director, Alana Schlagbaum, our office staff, Ariel Pastor, Wendy Haff, Jody Colasurdo, Jane Saburova, and everyone else, and I know I left people out, and I apologize if I did. Thank you all. All of the public-facing work you see on the Bima and through our remarkable programming here at Temple Beth Shalom would not be possible without their constant, tireless work and support. Toda Rabba to all of you. And to this very, very special congregation, I could not feel more blessed to have landed here in Livingston. The level of Jewish commitment I have seen in this community, especially in the months since October 7th, is nothing short of miraculous. And that was really driven home for me last week during our confirmation service when 12 of our 10th grade students got up on this bima and spoke so beautifully and so passionately about why it's important for them to be Jewish. I was blown away by their answers, and it solidified for me that we are doing a lot of things right here at Temple Beth Shalom. And while there are too many congregants who have helped me along the way to thank them all by name, I do want to personally thank all of the presidents I have worked with since I started here at TBS as the assistant rabbi in 2017. Laura Greif, Mel Jacobs, Jay Jaffe, Craig Grosswald, and Marla Parness. And as of July 1st, I am thrilled to be able to add Brian Fern to that list. And a very, very special thank you to Laura Greif and Robin Laveman and the entire Gala Committee who made tonight such a success. And finally, to my family, Ariel, Amalia, and Sivan, thank you. Everyone here should know that being a rabbinic family is not easy. I am constantly being juggled back and forth between my family and the 663 families of our congregation. More often than not, I am working very late at the synagogue for meetings, for programs, for classes, or just to catch up on all the work that needs to get done, which means that the bulk of the work of taking care of our daughters falls to Ariel. And that is not easy. Ariel has had to make tremendous sacrifices in her own career so that I could get to the place where I am today, and I will always be eternally grateful to her for that. Ariel, you are the world's greatest partner and mother, and I could not do any of what I do without your constant love and support. And Amalia and Sivan, the two of you are the absolute lights of my life. You are the reason I do what I do. I adore you both, and I hope that one day you'll understand just how lucky you are to be growing up here. Thank you, Amalia. In this very, very special congregation. And to all of you, thank you. Thank you for embracing my daughters and for treating them like they're your own. Amalia and Sivan have not only their 4 biological grandparents, but they have hundreds of surrogate grandparents and built-in babysitters here at Temple Beth Shalom. You have all given new meaning to the phrase, "it takes a village," and we could not be more grateful. And a very special thank you to Aliyah Noller, who's demonstrating what she does right now. Aliyah spends countless hours watching and playing with Amalia and Sivan literally every single day. We love you, Aliyah. Thank you. This week's Torah portion, Beha'alotecha, describes the menorah that was used in the Mishkan, the tabernacle in the wilderness, and later in the temple in Jerusalem. And in the Talmud, Rabbi Yochanan teaches that the most praiseworthy branch of the menorah was the middle branch. She'emtsa'i meshubach, the middle one is the best one. And later that middle branch evolved to become the shamash and the Chanukiah, the middle candle that of course lights all the other candles. And as your rabbi, I strive to be that middle branch. I live in the middle, in the space between Akiva and Ishmael, between heaven and earth, between the sacred and the mundane. But beyond that, it's also my role to be your shamash, to be the light in the center that helps to illuminate all of your lights, to guide you, to inspire you, to kindle the Jewish flame at the heart of this Keilah Kedosha, this sacred community. So Toda Rabba, thank you for allowing me to be your Akiva, your Ishmael, your Shamash, your Rabbi. Toda Rabba. You may be seated.
God bless and protect you. May God turn his face towards you and show you grace. May God's face be lifted toward you, and may God grant you peace.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'achiyanu v'kiyimanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. Blessed are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who has given us life, who has sustained us, and who has allowed us to reach this very, very special moment together. And we all say, Amen. I want to invite the members of the Bima Band now to join us. And you're welcome to stay to hear the closing musical number, or you can head out to get to Brook Lake, whatever you'd like, but we're gonna play a little bit.
Tell you how it's gonna be. You're gonna give your love to me. I wanna love you night and day. Though our love will not fade away. Though our love will not fade away. Not fade away. Bigger than a Cadillac. I tried to choke you, but you tried me back. Your love for me has got to be real. You're gonna know just how I feel. Love's surreal and not fade away. Love's surreal. not fade away. Looks real and not fade away. Oravo shalom aleinu ve'akuna. Oravo shalom aleinu. Oravo shalom aleinu. Oravo shalom aleinu ve'akuna.
Hey, what was that first song that you played when you came up and you were just sort of, remember what it was? That was pretty. I really like that. It was nice. I don't know. They told me to listen to it. Just something to blow the saxophone. I blow the saxophone. So it was a different version of the song we all know. Yeah, so it's different. That was fun, right? Yeah, you wanted to have a little break from it. Yep. Lori, Dan Katz, Ken Katz's son.
Hi, how are you? It's been forever. Everything's good. Everything's good. I'm back in the community.
Whatever you want. Yes.
Thank you guys for it. It was amazing.
That was really so special. Awesome.
That was great. Such a great speech. So proud of you.
I'm Jill, Dan's wife. Nice to meet you. Hi, Jill. Nice to meet you. I love that. Come full circle. So nice. Nice to meet you.
Like the name of the band had been practicing for years.
Thank you.
Dan Katz. I remember, like, he was like Wells Fargo. Ken left the business. He opened up his own RIA. And I was going to talk to him about, like, when Alex joined and stuff.
He's independent now. He formed his own firm, all females. And you know why it takes you so long to pack everything up? Well, I saw Rebecca in the crowd. Was he here? No. Maybe he's out of town somewhere.